Here we are checking out my DFIR, Digital Forensics Incident Response, a day in the life of a SOC analyst at an MSSP. Let's check it out.
In this video, I'll be going over the day in the life of a SOC analyst working at a managed security service provider, also known as MSSP, and the things you must do in order to take advantage in that environment. Over the years, I've had the privilege in working at many SOC environments, especially at MSSPs. I went from a tier 1 analyst all the way to a tier 3 analyst.
A managed security services provider is outsourced security services. So a lot of companies outsource their IT. Think companies with 20, 30, 40 people, they don't want to have an internal security or IT team to do basic things like password resets. They outsource that. They pay another company to do that. And MSSP is the exact same thing, but for security services. You don't want to have, small companies can't afford to have a full-time security team. Team, right? Security requires a team, let alone even just hiring one person is really expensive. So oftentimes they'll outsource it. The MSSP is a company that'll have 10, 20, 100, 200 customers that they do security for. I used to work at one. It is crazy. A fire hose of experience. There's so much work to do because you're doing security for so many companies.
And believe me, it gets hectic really quick. Now, some SOCs may differ, however, majority of them do follow a similar structure. Tier 1 analysts are typically the junior analysts who are responsible in monitoring a ticketing queue and triaging alerts. Tier 2
Absolutely true. The tier 1 at a SOC, Security Operations Center, so they call them SOC analysts, are the first line of defense. You have a ton of alerts coming in from a ton of different companies. So you have all this data, it's going into your SIM, which is a security tool that aggregates data and then pushes out alerts saying, hey, we need a human to look into this activity and confirm, is it actually malicious or is it legitimate? That's what a tier 1 SOC analyst does, is look at thousands over time, right? But usually in a day, a few dozen alerts to say, hey, this is actually bad. Let me kick it on up to the tier 2 analyst.
Analysts are responsible for helping the tier 1s in their investigation if needed. Whereas tier 3 analysts, they focus on a more specific skills such as cyber threat intelligence, threat hunting, incident response, use case creation and tuning, and many more. But
let's back that up. So he did say not every SOC is the same, and level 1, 2s, and 3s, those job duties will kind of change depending on what company you're at. As a level 2 analyst, I was a SOC level 2 analyst at my MSSP, and I did threat hunting. I did incident response. I did alert tuning. So that's making sure that the alerts that are generating are not so noisy. They're not all just false positives, noisy alerts that are not generating actionable intelligence. So as a level 2, you start bridging that gap. You absolutely are helping the level 1s. You're helping train level 1s. But oftentimes the level 1s, their job is to go through the bulk of the alerts and just get it up to a level 2 to dig further. The level 3, absolutely. They are the kings of the castle. They're the ones making sure they're doing all the high level stuff. They're not going into alerts unless it is a true positive. True positive meaning there is a breach, there is a compromise, there is an incident. We got to check it out. We got to look into this more immediately because some bad stuff is going on.
Creation and tuning, and many more. But today I'll be talking about the day in the life of a tier 1 security operations analyst. When working in a SOC, expect to work weird schedules. Some schedules may have 4 days on, 4 days off, 5 days on, 3 days off, or the usual 5 days on and 2 days off. Each organization is different, but
This is true. The reason for and this might not just be tier 1 SOC analysts, it could be level 2 and 3s having these weird schedules, is because you need to work 24/7, 365, all year round. You don't, the company, the MSSP, does not get a day off. Bad guys don't take a day off. This company doesn't take a day off. So they have to have these weird schedules. Like one's called a Panama schedule. There's a whole bunch of different names. This is actually kind of a good thing because no one wants to work these weird, crazy graveyard shift, off hours. Everyone likes the 5 and 2. or maybe you want like 4 days. So some people like it, but in general, most people like their weekends off. And when you have a weird schedule like 5 days on, 3 days off, you're going to work weekends. You might work nights. You might work off hours. This is great for getting your foot in the door. If you can do this for 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, boom, you got the experience on your resume. You got the actual skills that you need. Oh, you're going to skyrocket. Go to another company. I left the MSSP life, and now I'm at $1 billion company doing internal security. It's great. Oh, it's so good. Get one of those jobs. They tend to be easier to get. Competition is just going to be lower because fewer people want to work those crazy hours.
Expect to work odd hours and especially the night shift. So when you're working in a SOC environment, it is very process driven, meaning you will likely have to follow the process to a T. And if you deviate just a little from that, you might get in trouble. Generally, you'll be monitoring a ticketing queue, whether that be ServiceNow, a SOAR platform, or even email. Hopefully the alerts that show up in that ticketing queue actually have some details like
He's dropping so much information, and I just want to expand on it a little bit. Yes, a mature MSSP will be very process driven because there are so many alerts that you need to get through that you just can't sit there and sip your drink. The company doesn't want you to sit there and waste your time. They want you boom, 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 working through alerts. It is the pace is just crazy. Phenomenal experience because of that, right? You're out of the frying pan into the fire all the time. Great experience, but it's really tiring. And the process is meant to help you speed up things, right? It's like the whole McDonald's thing. If any of you have seen that Netflix show on McDonald's, why they have all the people just at one station doing one job, boom, 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 to get it done as fast as possible. That's why they have all these processes. It kind of is what it is. I didn't love it, but it teaches you a lot.
host names, IPs, usernames, and all that good stuff. Now I say
the other thing that he mentioned is where and how you get your alerts. And a mature MSSP will have a SIM, security information and event management tool that gathers all that data and that shoots out alerts. Some companies will have multiple queues, like he's saying. One could be email, right? People can email in security alerts. There might be a SOAR tool, which is security orchestration, automation, and response. So you might have a few, but at the end of the day, it's the same thing. No matter what platform, what tool you're going to, you're getting alerts.
Hopefully, because I've seen some alerts that have little to no information. That's never a good time. But anyways, for this example, let's just say you're monitoring your inbox for a new alert. When a new alert triggers and arrives in your inbox, what you want to do is take a look at it and see if anybody else is working on a similar alert. And if not, you go and cut a ticket with whatever ticketing system you're using. From there, you jump into your security.
MSSPs are notorious for their ticketing systems because they need to prove that they are doing work for their customers. I kind of hate this. It's necessary. It's like this necessary evil for MSSPs. They need to prove their value. A ticketing system just creates more work. So you're getting your alert from your SIM tool. Like he said, you're going to check to see is anyone else doing, like the basically the same task. Did multiple alerts generate? You don't need multiple analysts working the same thing. So after you check that, now what you're going to go do is go into a separate platform, a separate system, and create a service ticket, putting in all of the information. Here's the company, here's the machine that the alert generated on, or the user, all the information. And this is how you're going to track your notes. It's how you're going to track your time, because all of that is super important. You need to know exactly how much time you're working on these alerts. It's kind of like lawyers, how they get to bill like minute per minute. When you give a lawyer a call, they're billing you for that 2-minute phone call. It's the same way at an MSSP. It's how you track your time. It's not that terrible. You get super used to it. But thankfully, not all SOC analysts have to do this. When you are when you are internal security for a company, you probably don't have to do that, depending on the company.
Security tools such as a SIM, EDR, network, if you're fancy an XDR, and start triaging the alert. Depending on the available information that your security solutions provide, you might have to resort to open source intelligence, and you'll likely be using the holy grail of the SOC, which is VirusTotal. I swear, without
So VirusTotal is open source intelligence. It's a phenomenal platform. If you haven't used it, I'll just go to it right now. VirusTotal.com. He's probably going to show us it. But I use it every single day. It's it's just like the number one tool.
VirusTotal, half the SOC will be in shambles. So after triaging the alert,
Okay, so he didn't show it. Basically, it's a platform where you can go and you can put in an IP address or a URL, say www.maliciouswebsite.com, and VirusTotal will tell you, is it actually malicious or is it legitimate, and you can dig through some data on there. Super helpful. I go to it, I don't know, a dozen times a day at least.
going through your security tools, going through open source intelligence, you eventually gather all the information you need and come to a verdict. Now, if you don't understand or know what to look for, that is where the tier 2 comes in and help you with the investigation. Now, there will definitely...
This is what I love about MSSPs and why I would highly recommend if you can get into one as your first security position. Oh, it's so good. Because it's just free training, free education. Normally you have to pay for certifications, you have to pay for training courses. Now they have actual real life experienced professionals teaching you, pouring into you, mentoring you, showing you the way to do the job. And that's why on-the-job experience is so valuable on resumes and why so many companies want actual experience. It's so hard to beat when you have experienced professionals showing you the way. It's just unbeatable.
Definitely be a point where you receive a bunch of alerts, and I mean a bunch of alerts, like 100 plus. This may be a sign of an attack, but more often than not, it's likely a use case that was enabled too early without testing, because all PowerShell is evil. When this happens, and obviously it depends on the process, you typically open up a ticket and assign it to the tier 3 analyst or whoever is responsible in tuning that alert.
Exactly. Sometimes there are jobs dedicated to tuning the alerting system that you have, and that's generally what I do in my job right now. Is okay, we just got 20 alerts for the same thing. That's nonsense. We don't need 20 alerts for the same event. How do I go in and fix my tool's logic so that it generates one alert timely with all of the information that we need? And like he's saying, if you're a level 1 analyst, you may not have to work that. You're just going to bundle all of those alerts together and ship it off to someone else.
In summary, what exactly does a tier 1 working at a security operations center do? Well, number 1, monitor the queue. No matter what, your main focus will be monitoring a queue to look for any new alerts that come up. Number 2, when an alert triggers, you want to assign that alert to yourself. That way you let the other SOC analysts know that you're taking a look into it. Side note, if you get bombarded by a lot of alerts, try and find out why. It could be a false positive or another alert that was enabled too quickly without testing, and if that's the case, you follow the process and go from there. Number 3, after taking a look at previous similar alerts, you can start going into your security tools. Again, that is your SIM, EDR, network, XDR, whatever is available to you.
So I already explained what a SIM was. An EDR is endpoint detection and response. Think of it like a better version of antivirus. Your network, sometimes a security team will also monitor network traffic. Think firewalls and switches. And then the XDR is the big boy that kind of combines the EDR and the network together. Perhaps email, it captures all sources and creates alerts from that.
And start investigating. Again, you will likely be using some open source intelligence tools to identify additional information and eventually come to a conclusion. Now, if you're not entirely sure what to look for or know how to investigate the alert, again, the tier 2 is there to help you with that. Number 4, once you come up with a conclusion, whether that be a false positive or a true positive, you assign the ticket accordingly. Now, whether that ticket is closed due to a false positive or maybe assign it to a tier 3 for incident response, again, very process driven. Follow your process. Step number 5, you rinse and repeat. And there you have it. The life of a Tier 1 security operations analyst. Now, what exactly can I do to take advantage in that environment? Keep in mind, when working as a Tier 1 security operations analyst in a MSSP environment, or what I like to call sink or swim environment, it can get hectic really quickly. But I don't want you to get discouraged by it.
He's 100% true. This was my experience. I can relate so well. Sink or swim, it's always on fire. Everything is always on fire, especially if you're at like a big MSSP where, because you have so many customers, there's breaches happening all the time. Users are doing dumb things all of the time. It's great. It's why it's why we have job security. It's also kind of terrible, right? Because it's why companies get breached. It can be very stressful, but if you're on top of your game, if you're working hard, if you're trying to move up, MSSPs are great because they don't want you to stay a level 1 analyst. They want you to promote to level 2, to level 3. Some of them even have level 4 or specialized positions. They do not want you to be a level 1 for very long. Like a year at level 1 is the max. They want to see you grow in your career. And by and large, that's awesome because you have management support in getting training, in improving your skills while you're on the clock. That part's awesome.
Instead, I want you to jump right in and go for it. Sink or swim environments tend to be extremely fast-paced, and if you fall behind, it is actually very noticeable. Now again, don't be discouraged by this. Instead, jump in and start playing with a bunch of tools. MSSPs are great for exposing new analysts to new tools. However, to take advantage of this environment, there's one thing you need.
If you ever looked at a job posting and you see like, you need experience with like 20 different tools and you're like, I've never heard of any of these, work at an MSSP, you will get to touch every single tool. And if it's not that particular tool, you're gonna have touched one that does the exact same thing, and it's copy pasta. If you know how to use one vulnerability scanner, you know how to use them all. It's great. Those skills are transferable, and once you can put all of those tools, platforms, and systems on your resume, everyone's gonna want you. Everyone's gonna want you.
Need to keep in mind, and that is, do not be scared of taking on a new alert. I want to share with you a real.
Yes, take on new alerts. He's going to give reasons why. One of the reasons why I think you should always take on new alerts is, especially at level 1, you have a level 2, you have a level 3 that can help you out and learn. There's so many times where I've spent so much time with a level 2 who's like, I've never seen this before, let's work on it together. And you'll spend an hour working with someone who's mentoring you and showing you super cool things that you didn't know before. It's a great learning experience. Oh, it's so good.
Real life example of this. One day a new alert triggered and the analysts did their thing. They took a look at previous alerts just to see if there was anything similar, and lo and behold, none. So they froze. And from there, the alert was not touched. And the purpose of the story is to let you know that there are going to be times when a new alert triggers that nobody has touched before. Try not to be the person that is scared to take on that alert. Instead, if you don't understand the alert, ask. The tier 2 and 3 analysts typically are very smart people, and they should be able to walk you through their thought process and help you with the investigation. Now, don't get me wrong, there are going to be times where you might get intimidated by a new alert, and that is completely fine. Now, what I encourage new analysts is try and find out why. Is it because you might lack a certain set of skills? What you can do is start exposing yourself to lab work. From there, you will be able to do some more hands-on experience and get more confidence into your skills. That doesn't cut it, you can supplement that with additional studying. That way you can understand the concept and again, be more confident. By doing this, you will become a better analyst very quickly. Understanding the skills that you lack and actually doing something about it will make you grow as an analyst compared to those that are intimidated and only work on the alerts that were done previously.
Yes. Oh my gosh, this is fire advice. Fire advice, because if you want to be a level 1 analyst forever, just keep working the same alerts. Only pick up the alerts that you've worked 10,000 times before, and your life's going to be easy, right? You know exactly what to do. You know how the flow goes. You know the process. It's easy. But then you get stuck. The way to accelerate your career to 6 figures super quickly is take the difficult alerts. At level 1, the pressure is so low. It is scary taking on something new that you don't know, you have no clue what's going on, but you're going to have help. Step one, look to see, has anyone worked this type of alert before? No? The internet is your friend. Google is your friend. Researching is your friend. It's so good. Other people have seen this alert before. Other people have seen this problem before. And if that fails, you got the level 2. And level 2s, like he said, tend to be super smart people. They've been in the game a long time. Level 2s know what they're doing. And if they don't, great. Now you can see, what does a level 2 do when they don't know what's going on? It's super valuable. Super valuable.
So I want you to take your time, understand and embrace all of the new alerts that come into your queue and all of the tools that you'll be touching. Well, that is it for this video, and I hope you found that informative. If you enjoyed this video, let me know by hitting that like button and subscribe if you want to.
Awesome. Love it. My DFIR, super awesome video, super great advice. I'll put the link to his video in the description below. Go check it out. Give him a sub. Give him a like on the video. Thanks for joining me here as we react to it, and I'll catch you in the next one.